Hi everyone, my name is Amartya and today I'm going to be talking about my virtual assistant project. So, what are the problems I'm trying to solve? Well, firstly, virtual assistants in the market are basically voice web search devices. They act as a portal to online search. So, what I'm trying to say is that when we ask it a question, it just redirects us to a website or some link. It doesn't really give us the answer. And that's a problem when I really want a concise and clear answer from a virtual assistant. And then current assistants are not very creative. For example, if I ask a current virtual assistant to, let's say, explain networking to a 5-year-old, it won't be able to do it. It'll just, again, as I said, throw me a web result. So, and if I ask it to write me a story, write me a poem, it doesn't really act like an assistant, if it can't really do these creative tasks. So, creativity is what is missing. Current assistants always do not give the perfect answers. As I said, their accuracy is kind of hit or miss sometimes because they, at the end of the day, give you a web result. So, that's the real problem with virtual assistants right now. And I want to try to solve that problem. So, what I'm going to do? Well, as we all know, ChatGPT is taking the world by storm right now, and it's truly, I guess, in my opinion, one of the best revolutions, technological revolutions in this century. And I want to be using the ChatGPT's engine, OpenAI's API, Text Completions API, that's what its name is, and use Python to be able to communicate to and from this API. So I'm going to ask questions and it's going to take it in and give it to the API. API will give me an answer using ChatGPT's engine and give me an answer and the assistant will speak it out. I'll explain more when you guys look at the code. So let's do that right now. Let me show you guys a demo.
Okay, so this is the code. Over here, the first function that we see here is the AI function. So this is truly the heart and soul of the entire program. Over here, we use GPT 3.5 Turbo, or actually, it's the text completions API by OpenAI, which uses GPT-4 to understand the data and understand the input that it's given. So the next function over here is the say function. So this function is a simple function where you take in a text and it actually says it out loud, which you will be hearing in a couple of minutes. And here is the main, you could say, the main core of the program. This is the true logic which allows you to ask questions and also even ask follow-up questions. And then lastly, over here you have the session function. This is the backbone of the entire code. It manages and puts through everything. And then lastly over here we just have a simple while true loop where it just takes an input. Do you want to speak to the AI? If you answer Y as in yes, then it will start the session. So that is the code. Let's run it. So let me scroll this up. So do you want to speak to the AI? So when I say Y and enter, it'll give me a speech prompt where I can talk to the AI. So now I'll be asking something a bit weird and creative. I'll ask it to tell me about Intel in a short poem. Like a normal assistant wouldn't be able to do that. But let's see if this can. Tell me about Intel in a short poem.
Okay, let me see.
So now it has taken that input, tell me about Intel in a short poem. Now it's going to send it to the OpenAI process and it's going to give us an answer. This takes a couple of seconds.
In the world of chips and bytes, a name that always shines so bright is Intel, the giant of the processor game, whose innovation and power never gets tamed. From desktops to laptops, they rule it all. Their processors are fast, efficient and tall, with AI and IoT at their core. They're the ones who always bring more. Their memory and storage solutions are like the heartbeats of computing revolutions, and their research and development efforts are brimming with ideas that defy limits. With Intel, you get the power to create, to compute, to design, to innovate. And that's why they'll always stand tall. In the world of tech, they're the ones who rule it all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as you've seen just there, now we get another prompt. Do you want to speak to the AI? This is a continuous while true loop. So you'll keep asking if you want to speak after a session is over. So that was just amazing, isn't it? Like it just wrote a poem. Like, can you imagine that this is not something that a person wrote. This is something that a machine which is able to understand poetry and able to understand rhyming wrote. Let's ask it another question. Some errors. Okay. Let's ask it another factual question. Tell me about Mahatma Gandhi.
Give me a moment to think about this.
So, other than creative tasks, of course, it can do these factual questions as well, and it can give you a prompt and precise answer to what you require. So let's give it some time. Usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds.
Mahatma Gandhi was an Indian nationalist leader and social reformer who played a critical role in the Indian independence movement against the British Empire. He was born on October 2, 1869, in Porbandar, India. Gandhi was trained as a barrister and practiced law in South Africa, where he witnessed firsthand the racial discrimination and injustice against Indians. These experiences shaped his worldview and motivated him to fight for equality and justice, not only for Indians but for all oppressed people. In India, Gandhi became a prominent figure in the Indian National Congress, a political party that advocated for Indian independence from British rule. He led several nonviolent civil disobedience campaigns, including the famous Salt March, which led to the eventual creation of an independent India in 1947. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance, known as satyagraha, influenced many other civil rights movements across the world, including the American Civil Rights Movement led by Martin Luther King Jr. Gandhi was an advocate for social justice and equality, promoting education for all, women's rights, and the eradication of untouchability. He was also an advocate for sustainable living and encouraged self-sufficiency through his teachings on spinning and weaving. Gandhi was assassinated on January 30, 1948, by a Hindu nationalist who opposed his vision of a united India. Despite his death, Gandhi's legacy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for justice, peace, and equality through nonviolent means.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, that was a paragraph about Gandhi. It was so comprehensive and so well written that it gave me a complete clear idea on who he was, what he did, and everything about him, where he was born, etc. So that's the power of this AI, and that is truly amazing to see what I can do or what the world can do with this kind of technology in the future. So that's what I have as a demo.
So, what I plan on improving? Well, there's a lot of things I can improve because this is just a project. But the two things that I'm thinking about right now is firstly adding a proper user interface. As you can see now, it was just a piece of code, just running in a terminal or VS Code, I should say. So, I want to make an application, a web app, or maybe most likely a smartphone application that will be able to, that common users can be able to use with ease. And the second one is another big selling point of the current virtual assistant devices is that they are very good for home automation. Like I can just say, hey, assistant, turn off the lights. That's amazing. I really like that aspect. And I want to add that part of home automation into this as well. So that's my current plans on improving my project. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching.